Imagine a place where you instantly feel at home, surrounded by people who truly share your journey, sparking surprising connections and discoveries. This isn't just a fantasy, is it?
No, not at all.
It feels like the profound promise of co-living.
It absolutely is. Welcome, everyone, to a deep dive into the dynamic world of co-living. It's a rapidly evolving lifestyle that's fundamentally redefining how we live, work, and connect in the modern age.
Yeah, it really feels like it's touching on something deep.
Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what truly makes a co-living space not just exist, but actually thrive. We're guided by the invaluable insights from Co-Living Community Facilitation, a comprehensive guide.
Okay, great source. So our mission today is to dig into this material and extract the most important sort of nuggets of knowledge for you. We'll be focusing particularly on the indispensable role of the community facilitator, who really does feel like the unsung hero making it all happen.
Definitely the linchpin in many ways.
Exactly. You'll hopefully walk away with a crystal clear understanding of this movement, its core ingredients, and maybe even a fresh perspective on how you choose to live. So let's begin this exploration.
Right. So to start, let's try and peel back some of the layers of marketing jargon, get a foundational understanding of what co-living actually is.
Okay.
At its simplest, it's defined as three or more people who are not related by blood, marriage, or adoption choosing to share residential space.
Right. That's the baseline.
Exactly. But that bare bones definition, honestly, it barely scratches the surface of what makes it such a compelling lifestyle choice today.
I agree, yeah. It's far more than just splitting the rent or, having flatmates like you might have had in college. What truly sets co-living apart are its essential elements. We're talking about intentionally designed shared communal facilities. Think fully equipped kitchens that really invite collaboration, comfortable lounges where conversations just naturally seem to flow.
Yeah, spaces at work.
Exactly. Dedicated workspaces that foster productivity, and often even vibrant gardens or rooftops. These aren't just features tacked on. They are the very infrastructure designed to facilitate that organic social interaction and cultivate genuine community building.
And for you, as a potential co-liver, this translates into some very tangible and often surprising benefits. Financially, there's often the advantage of lower living costs compared to, say, typical rentals.
Especially in expensive cities.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you factor in the included amenities and services, Wi-Fi, cleaning, utilities, sometimes even coffee.
Right.
But perhaps even more valuable are the increased opportunities for serendipitous connections. Those unexpected encounters in the kitchen or the lounge that can lead to deep friendships, exciting collaborations, or simply fascinating late-night conversations.
Things you just wouldn't get living alone.
Precisely. You gain access to rich, authentic experiences that go far beyond mere accommodation, experiences that might be much harder to find in traditional living setups.
So why does all of this really matter? I mean, why is co-living gaining such traction now?
Well, I think in an increasingly isolating urban landscape, which is
Yeah.
often exacerbated by the challenges of finding affordable housing in many cities, co-living offers a really compelling and timely solution.
It feels like an answer to something.
It consciously creates environments where human connection is prioritized. It's almost like a deliberate antidote to modern urban loneliness, where a built-in sense of belonging isn't an afterthought, but a core design principle.
Yeah. It speaks to a deep, inherent human need for connection, doesn't it? For belonging to a tribe, almost.
Exactly, that fundamental need, ##B, the diverse landscape of co-living models. And what's truly fascinating here is how co-living has evolved far beyond just a single concept. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all model.
Right. You see different flavors of it.
Absolutely. Instead, we see a rich spectrum of environments, each adapting really ingeniously to various settings and meeting quite diverse resident needs.
Okay, so let's break that down. When most people think of co-living, they probably envision the classic urban environments.
Yeah, the city ones.
Right. These are the high-density, city-centric locations, often purpose-built apartment-style buildings or maybe large, thoughtfully renovated shared houses. They thrive on proximity to public transport, maybe built-in co-working spaces, easy access to a city's cultural pulse.
Makes sense.
And who lives here? Well, typically professionals, entrepreneurs, students, maybe newcomers eager to plug into a new city, all seeking both convenience and that kind of ready-made social network to hit the ground running.
Yeah, that instant community.
Exactly.
But beyond the bustling city, we're seeing a really fascinating shift towards suburban environments, too.
Oh, interesting. How does that work?
Well, the key insight here isn't just about having more physical space, although that's part of it. It's about finding that appealing sweet spot,
Hmm.
a quieter, more community-focused pace of life, yet still within an easy commute to urban opportunities.
So, kind of the best of both worlds.
Sort of, yeah. These are often single-family homes or maybe low-rise buildings, usually offering more generous communal areas like backyards or gardens.
Okay.
This caters to individuals or even families seeking a more relaxed atmosphere, ample personal space, and a strong sense of local community without feeling completely cut off from city life.
And if urban or suburban isn't quite your speed, can co-living truly offer a complete escape, like getting away from it all?
Absolutely. Imagine swapping cityscapes for serene landscapes. That's where rural environments come into play.
Wow. Okay.
These are true retreats into nature, often housed in converted farmhouses, sprawling estates, or sometimes eco-friendly communal buildings. The focus here shifts dramatically towards well-being, sustainable living, immersive outdoor activities, and often a conscious digital detox.
So a very different vibe.
Completely different. You'll find a different breed of co-livers here. Digital nomads looking for focused work amidst tranquility, artists, writers, wellness enthusiasts seeking an escape, or maybe a permanent lifestyle change closer to nature. It just shows incredible versatility.
It really does.
Then there are environments that brilliantly combine, say, the allure of a vacation with a productive community. Think coastal and beachfront environments.
Ah, the dream for some.
Right. Picture seaside towns or properties directly on the beach with a strong emphasis on water sports like surfing, paddleboarding, or maybe communal yoga sessions overlooking the ocean.
Nice.
These spaces naturally attract surfers, digital nomads, and anyone passionate about integrating their work with that ocean and beach culture. It's really about building a community around a shared lifestyle passion.
And you also see highly specialized models, don't you? Like around universities.
Yes, absolutely. University town environments. These are meticulously tailored for students and academics. Typically located near campuses, they feature study-friendly collaborative spaces, quiet zones, and maybe a calendar packed with student-centric events.
Like a better dorm.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a natural evolution of student housing, offering a structured, community-oriented alternative to traditional dorms, fostering shared learning and social bonds among undergraduates, graduate students, researchers, even visiting faculty.
Okay. And one more really unique one, the ski towns.
Oh yeah, ski town environments, a unique blend of adventure and community. These capitalize on the seasonal beauty and recreational opportunities of mountain resorts. You'll find them in cozy chalets or spacious lodges, often with direct ski and ski out access or just close proximity to lifts.
Living the ski bum dream, but with community.
Exactly. The atmosphere is highly social and active, centered around that shared passion for winter sports. The residents often include seasonal workers, workationers, people combining work and vacation, and serious skiers or snowboarders looking to maximize their mountain time. Creates a vibrant, energetic community.
Wow. So understanding this incredible diversity is vital. It helps you pinpoint the ideal co-living environment that truly aligns with your lifestyle, your goals.
Precisely. Whether you're actively searching for a place to live, eager to join a specific kind of community, or even if you're perhaps considering stepping into a facilitation role yourself,
Right.
knowing this varied landscape is absolutely crucial for making the right choice. It's about finding where you fit best, or maybe where you can make the most impact. And this rich diversity brings us right back to the absolute undeniable core of co-living authentic community.
A magic ingredient.
It really is. The source material makes it abundantly clear, stating unequivocally, without community, there is no co-living. Full stop. True community, in this context, isn't simply about sharing a roof.
No.
It's about an emotional connection between members of a group. That feeling.
And if we really connect this to the bigger picture, it taps into something ancient, something deeply wired within us as human beings, doesn't it?
It really does.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We've evolved biologically to be social creatures. Authors like Seth Godin and others remind us of our inherent capacity for large-scale, flexible cooperation and shared intentionality.
Yeah, it's fundamental to who we are.
It's in our very DNA, this deep-seated need for belonging. And when this need is neglected, as we unfortunately see with the pervasive isolation in many modern environments, like U.S. suburbs, for example, it can lead to serious health issues, both mental and physical. Co-living offers a deliberate, tangible solution to this modern challenge. It's designing for connection.
But this raises a really important question. If community is so vital, how do we distinguish between true co-living and something that merely uses the term for marketing buzz.
Yeah, the co-washing problem.
Exactly, you need to be vigilant. Many spaces might feature shared common areas, a nice kitchen, a comfy lounge, but if they crucially lack that sense of community, and perhaps most importantly, the tangible presence of a dedicated community facilitator,
The CF again?
right, then they're often just glorified service departments or maybe guest houses.
Mm.
It's a marketing trap that relies on the idea of community without actually delivering the reality.
We actually have a powerful case study from Johnny, the author of our source material, that vividly illustrates this distinction.
Oh yeah, tell us.
He recounts the disappointing experience of his good friend Joran. Joran spent 6 months down in Medellin, Colombia, deliberately hopping between various places advertised as co-living for digital nomads.
Okay, testing the waters.
He was actively seeking that promised sense of community, but what he consistently found were basically glorified guest houses.
Ah, okay, so nice rooms but no soul.
Pretty much. The glaring key missing ingredient in all of them, an on-site community manager or ideally a community facilitator, Joran realized that a space could plaster co-living on its website, but without that dedicated human element actively fostering and nurturing connection. It was just another tourist accommodation.
And he probably paid a premium for the label.
Exactly. He paid a premium expecting community and instead got, well, a nice room.
Joran's experience powerfully highlights that gap between promise and reality that can exist in this industry. And this led directly to Johnny's strong conviction. Truly successful co-living spaces should proudly display their community facilitators.
No, so.
Imagine a prominent bio on the booking page, maybe links to their online socials, showcasing their expertise and personality.
Humanizing it.
Exactly. This isn't just good marketing. It deeply humanizes the experience, proves a genuine, tangible commitment to fostering community, and frankly, offers a significant competitive advantage. It's a signal to you, the prospective co-liver, that this space prioritizes the human element above all else.
Right. It shows they're serious about the community part. So what does this all mean for you, whether you're looking to join or even operate a space? When you're seeking a co-living environment, look for tangible, active signs of community. Is there a prominent community facilitator? Is their role clearly defined, celebrated, deeply integrated into the space's operations?
Those are the key questions.
This will be your compass to avoid that guest house trap and to find a space where you can truly belong, connect, and thrive. That dedicated human touch, the presence of a true community facilitator, genuinely makes all the difference in transforming a shared house into a living, breathing community.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's focus now on that true backbone of any thriving co-living space, the community facilitator, or CF.
The unsung hero we mentioned.
Exactly. And there's been a crucial semantic shift happening in the industry, evolving from community manager to community facilitator, as strongly advocated by the Community Facilitation Handbook.
Manager versus facilitator. Why is that distinction so important?
Well, it isn't just a simple change in title. It reflects a profound difference in philosophy and approach.
Okay, unpack that for us.
Think about the word manage. The dictionary definition often involves controlling things or people. It inherently implies a more top-down, perhaps even dictatorial perspective.
Right, like managing resources or tasks.
Exactly. But to facilitate means to make an action or process easy or easier. A community manager might issue directives, but a community facilitator actively involves residents and community members, empowering them to co-create their experience.
Ah, so it's bottom-up versus top-down?
Largely, yes. This bottom-up empowering approach is what ultimately cultivates stronger, more authentic, and more resilient communities. So what's the biggest misconception people have about what a CF actually does day to day?
That's a good question. I suspect people think they just plan parties or handle complaints.
Yeah, that's a common one, that they're primarily an event planner or maybe a glorified receptionist. And while, sure, events are part of it, and they definitely greet people, their role is far, far more strategic and nuanced.
Okay.
Which brings us to the comprehensive definition of a CF provided in the guide. A community facilitator is a person responsible for community building by facilitating group interactions, open communication, and bridging the gap between community needs and operational processes.
Bridging the gap. Interesting.
Their ultimate goal is to support the emergence and maintenance of community by enabling residents to foster authentic connection, fulfill their individual needs, and catalyze collective engagement. So it's not just about organizing, it's about enabling connection and engagement.
Wow. That definition truly highlights the immense scope of this role. It sounds incredibly demanding, like you said, almost like a blend of therapist, event planner, and diplomat all rolled into one.
It can feel that way sometimes, yes.
It's fascinating because this is still an emerging role, relatively speaking, yet it demands a truly unique and broad set of skills.
Hmm.
We're talking about a deep understanding of human behavior, extremely high emotional intelligence, strong communication, excellent conflict resolution abilities.
And that's just the people side.
Right. Layer on top of that practical event management skills and the capacity to think both strategically and tactically, all while remaining incredibly adaptable to constantly changing dynamics within the community.
It's not an exaggeration to say it's genuinely one of the hardest and most vital roles in successful co-living. It really is.
So, the aha moment here for listeners should be a clear realization. The community facilitator isn't just a logistical coordinator, someone who plans the occasional pizza night.
No, definitely not.
They are the intentional architect and the nurturing spirit of the entire co-living experience. They directly influence its success, the vibrancy of the community, and ultimately your sense of belonging within that space. They are the absolute linchpin.
Absolutely. And the commitment they bring to the role directly correlates to the quality of the community you'll experience.
Okay, let's explore this further. The immense emotional load placed on a community facilitator. It's something that's truly often underestimated, isn't it?
Hugely underestimated.
This role requires profound self-awareness, a deep sense of self-certainty, and a consistently proactive, action-oriented mindset. Why? Because they're constantly navigating intense emotions, both their own and those bubbling up within the community.
It's a constant flow.
Establishing healthy boundaries, which must be incredibly difficult, and simply trying to sustain their own well-being amidst a demanding environment. It sounds like a massive juggling act.
It absolutely is a lot, and that's precisely why self-awareness is non-negotiable for a CF. Think of it as the bedrock they stand on.
Okay. Define self-awareness in this context.
It's the ability to recognize and truly understand your own thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, your strengths, weaknesses, values, and critically, even your subconscious biases.
Right.
For a CF, this is critical for a few key reasons. It helps them identify personal biases that might unintentionally impact their interactions with residents. It helps prevent negative interactions from escalating unnecessarily. And it fosters the deep empathy needed to genuinely connect with diverse individuals who are all bringing their own histories and needs into the shared space.
So it's foundational. How does one cultivate this kind of robust self-awareness? It sounds important, but maybe a bit abstract.
Well, the source highlights a few actionable practices, but one stands out as perhaps the single most impactful solution mentioned:
Which is?
daily journaling.
Ah, journaling. Okay.
It's surprisingly simple, yet profoundly valuable. The key isn't writing essays, it's consistency, even just 5 minutes a day. Ideally by hand in a decent journal. It seems to connect differently.
And the real value comes later.
Exactly. What's truly crucial, and the guide suggests this is where maybe 80% of the long-term value comes from, is regularly reading your old entries.
Ah, looking back.
Yes. That's where you gain deep self-reflection and start to see patterns in your thoughts, emotions, and reactions over time. It's like having a conversation with your past self, learning from your own experiences.
That's powerful. Any tips for making it a habit?
Johnny, the author, suggests tying it to an existing habit you already have, like your morning coffee or maybe your evening wind-down routine. That helps anchor it.
Makes sense. What else helps build resilience?
Beyond journaling, cultivating healthy habits in general is vital for a CF. It's interesting how co-living itself can sometimes offer a unique opportunity to shed bad habits and adopt good ones, simply by changing your environment and being surrounded by new, often positive influences.
A supportive environment helps.
Definitely. Regularly seeking constructive feedback from residents, from other facilitators, and being genuinely open to it is also crucial for continuous growth.
Not always easy, but important.
No, but vital. And of course, embracing a growth mindset. Staying updated on best practices in community building, understanding evolving social issues, and committing to ongoing learning.
Any other practices?
Oh, sure. The guide mentions other beneficial practices like physical exercise, mindfulness meditation, reading for new perspectives, engaging with music, whether making, playing, or simply listening, and having trusted individuals like mentors or peers you can confide in.
It sounds like a holistic approach to well-being is needed.
Absolutely necessary for the role.
And there must be warning signs if a community facilitator starts neglecting their own needs.
Yes, the source points to clear indicators. Things like an observable increase in indulgence and vices, maybe drinking more, comfort eating, excessive screen time,
Okay.
a noticeable reduction in patience, becoming easily irritated, and a general decrease in willpower, finding it harder to stick to routines or make proactive choices.
And these aren't just minor personal issues, right? They impact the community.
Directly. That's precisely why prioritizing the CF's well-being is absolutely paramount. A CF's internal struggles will inevitably spill over into the co-living business and the wider community atmosphere.
Yeah, you can feel that tension.
Definitely. Johnny shares his personal experience of having to close his first co-living space, which he had run successfully for 2.5 years, simply because he couldn't find a suitable replacement CF when he personally felt the need to live elsewhere.
Wow, so the CF was literally irreplaceable in that context.
It powerfully highlights the critical need for CFs to take regular time off, to recharge properly, and it also points to the significant benefit of thoughtfully separating the CF and operator roles. They truly require very different, albeit complementary, skill sets and energies.
That makes a lot of sense. It's also incredibly important to understand the emotional life cycle a community facilitator typically experiences, isn't it? It's not a static role.
Not at all. The guide outlines distinct stages. They often start with initial excitement, that eagerness, optimism, often a tendency to take on way too much initially.
Honeymoon phase.
Exactly. This can then transition into frustration as they inevitably face difficulties, interpersonal conflicts, and that feeling of being overwhelmed by the sheer demands of the role.
Reality sets in.
After this, ideally, comes adaptation, where they learn from mistakes, adjust their strategies, become more resilient, develop better boundaries,
Growing into the role.
which leads to satisfaction as they begin to see positive results, a thriving community taking shape, feeling like they're making a real difference.
The rewarding part.
Yes. Eventually, there might be a bittersweet stage, realizing perhaps it's time to move on for a new challenge or just a change. And finally, transition, reflecting on the entire journey, the impact they had.
And that self-reflection, like journaling, helps navigate these stages.
Absolutely. Regular self-reflection is what truly helps a CF understand their current emotional stage and how it might be impacting the community around them, consciously or unconsciously.
Now, imagine the psychological toll on CFs in spaces with really high resident turnover, those catering primarily to short-term co-livers like weekly or monthly stays.
Oh, that's incredibly draining. The guide details the side effects quite clearly.
Just as.
Constant stress from the endless cycle of welcoming new people, saying goodbye, doing orientations over and over, deep frustration from the inability to build truly deep, lasting relationships because people are always leaving.
Yeah, you never get that depth.
A high risk of burnout from constantly navigating diverse personalities, managing new conflicts that arise with every new intake. And they can even experience a profound loneliness from what feels like a revolving door of people.
That's ironic, feeling lonely while facilitating community.
It is. It's like the social equivalent of trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom, constantly pouring in energy, only to see it drain away before real depth can form.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, whether you're considering a community facilitator role yourself or you're looking for a co-living space to join?
Understanding these immense emotional and psychological challenges helps you identify healthy, sustainable communities.
Right.
It also helps you appreciate the profound commitment required from those facilitating them. Ultimately, a supported, well-cared-for CF means a stronger, more vibrant, and more sustainable community for everyone involved. Their well-being directly translates to yours.
That's a really key insight.
Okay, so moving from the internal world of self-care to the external world of action, let's explore just how intricately involved the community facilitator is across almost every single stage of a co-living resident's journey.
From start to finish.
Pretty much. The CF is typically there right from the beginning with curation. They're subtly helping shape the space's culture by participating in resident selection, ensuring a good fit.
Okay, so not just accepting anyone.
Ideally, no. Then they handle onboarding, welcoming and integrating new residents, making sure they feel genuinely at home from day one. They oversee adaptation, conducting check-ins, gathering feedback to ensure cultural integration is happening smoothly.
Checking in is important.
Crucial. They are central to communal life, facilitating engagement, guiding group decision-making processes, and skillfully resolving conflicts when they arise.
The day-to-day stuff.
Yes. Even during offboarding, they ensure a positive final impression as residents transition out. And, fascinatingly, they often foster an afterlife.
An afterlife. What does that mean?
Maintaining connections with former residents online, maybe through alumni groups, or inviting them back for special events, keeping that network alive.
Wow. So the only phase they're not really involved in is?
The initial discovery phase, generally. That encompasses broader marketing, maybe the initial planning and setup of the space. But once residents start interacting with the space, the CF is key.
Right. And here's where the CF truly acts as that ultimate linchpin we talked about, ensuring the success of the co-living community by actively upholding its three foundational pillars.
Okay, what are those pillars according to the guide?
First, shared values. The CF works tirelessly to ensure residents align on core principles and beliefs, fostering a powerful sense of unity and shared purpose. It's about knowing what the community stands for.
Got it. Pillar 1, shared values.
Second, psychological safety. This is
Yeah.
absolutely paramount. The CF creates an environment of profound trust and respect where residents feel genuinely comfortable taking interpersonal risks like sharing ideas, disagreeing respectfully, expressing themselves openly without fear of judgment or negative consequences.
That sounds crucial for authentic connection.
It's everything. And third, sustained engagement. The CF works to ensure ongoing involvement, constantly creating diverse opportunities for residents to connect over the long term, fostering deep belonging and a sense of community ownership that goes way beyond just living together.
Shared values, psychological safety, sustained engagement. The CF shepherds all three.
Exactly.
Now, what's particularly interesting in the operational dynamics is the double-edged sword of the co-liver CF, a community facilitator who actually lives within the co-living space.
Ah, yeah, the live-in facilitator. Pros and cons.
Definitely. On one hand, the advantages are clear. They have a personal stake in the community's success, right? They can proactively problem solve because they experience issues firsthand, maybe a leaky faucet or noise issues, and they gain an unparalleled intuitive understanding of resident needs and the community vibe.
They're embedded.
Fully. However, the downsides are significant, primarily the high potential for blurred work-life boundaries.
Always being on.
Exactly. And consequently, a much higher risk of severe burnout. Solutions often involve providing separate housing for the CF, maybe nearby, while ensuring they maintain a consistent, visible presence in common areas during work hours. It allows for a healthier, a more sustainable balance.
Finding that right balance is key. And how do they habitually engage with residents day to day? What does that look like?
It really boils down to active, consistent presence. CFs must be present and visible in common areas, not just overseeing things from an office or behind a screen.
Be where the people are.
Precisely. They organize consistent, varied events, anything from group meals that naturally turn into lively discussions, to fun game nights, to skill-sharing workshops. They utilize open communication channels, whether that's a simple community bulletin board, a dedicated group chat like WhatsApp or Slack, or regular newsletters, just to keep everyone informed and connected.
Communication flow.
And crucially, they lead by example. They actively attend both planned events and informal gatherings, building trust and rapport, and modeling the positive, collaborative behavior they wish to see flourish within the community. It's about being an active participant, not just an organizer standing on the sidelines.
Walking the walk. Okay, so to concretely boost community involvement, the guide suggests 4 impactful initiatives a CF can take.
Let's hear them.
First, they should actively attend community-led events. If residents organize something, the CF showing up sends a powerful message of support.
Yeah, validates their effort.
Second, they can volunteer their time or expertise to genuinely support resident projects, for example, lending a hand to a resident trying to set up a composting system, or maybe offering design advice for a shared art project if they have that skill.
Empowering residents.
Third, they need to proactively create feedback opportunities, fostering an open-door policy where residents feel the CF is approachable and safe to offer honest input, even when it's critical feedback.
Got to be open to hearing the tough stuff.
Absolutely. And finally, they should actively cross-pollinate with local leaders or organizations, perhaps partnering with a local brewery for a craft beer tasting night, or inviting a popular local food truck to a community festival hosted at the space.
Bringing the outside in.
Exactly. It enriches the community with external elements and adds diverse value for everyone.
Now let's talk about conflict resolution and support, because conflict will inevitably happen in any living, breathing community, right? It's not always smooth sailing.
Oh, for sure. And the guide stresses that as a CF, you're a guide, not a judge.
Okay, guide, not judge. What's the first step?
The first, and arguably most important step, is to normalize conflict. It's not a sign of failure. It's an inevitable, even healthy sign of a living community where people care enough to disagree. It's actually an opportunity for growth.
Shifting the perspective on conflict itself.
Exactly. When it arises, the CF's mantra should be listen first, solve second. Prioritize active, empathetic listening to truly understand the underlying emotions and perspectives from all sides before jumping to conclusions or trying to impose solutions.
Seek first to understand.
Precisely. Then, you facilitate, don't dictate. Bring the parties together. Set clear ground rules for respectful discussion, like no interruptions using I statements. Actively avoid taking sides and help each person articulate their perspective and needs clearly.
Holding the space for conversation.
Right. You encourage ownership, empowering residents to take responsibility for their role in the conflict, and, crucially, its resolution. It's their conflict to resolve, you're just helping them do it.
Not solving it for them.
No. And finally, follow-up is absolutely crucial. A quick check-in a day or two later ensures issues are truly resolved and prevents simmering tensions from reigniting down the line.
Closing the loop. Can you give a quick example?
Sure. Say two residents are clashing over kitchen cleanliness standards, a classic.
The eternal battle.
Right. A CF would first listen to each person individually, validate their frustrations, then bring them together. Instead of saying, okay, you must clean the dishes immediately, they'd facilitate a conversation around shared expectations, maybe help them co-create a rotating schedule or clearer guidelines they both agree on, empowering them to find their solution.
Makes sense. And beyond resolving specific conflicts, the CF is instrumental in cultivating a broader culture of support within the community, right?
Absolutely. This means actively checking in on residents who seem withdrawn or might be struggling, genuinely celebrating individual and collective successes, big or small, and critically, modeling vulnerability themselves.
Modeling vulnerability. How so?
By being open about their own challenges sometimes, or asking for help. It makes it safe for others to do the same when they need support. It builds trust.
Okay. The guide actually lists 8 concrete action items for improving human social dynamics in a co-living space. Want to run through them quickly?
Yeah, let's do it. So, encourage open and honest communication. Foster a strong sense of shared community. Actively promote inclusivity across all demographics. Lead by example in their own behavior. Skillfully mediate conflicts when they arise. Encourage active participation from all residents. Provide resources, maybe workshops on social skills or mindfulness. And consistently foster a positive, respectful, and genuinely welcoming environment.
That's a comprehensive list. Covers a lot of ground.
It really shows the breadth of the CF's influence. Now, event coordination is another huge part of the CF's role, but the source emphasizes it's about empowering resident co-creation, not just the CF planning everything themselves.
Right, enabling others.
CFs should offer flexibility in event planning, suggesting diverse activities ranging from topic-specific gatherings like a book club or maybe a coding workshop to recurring meetups like weekly communal dinners or weekend brunches.
Variety is key.
But the very best events, the guide argues, truly happen when co-livers themselves take the lead. The CF's role then becomes enabling and empowering them with guidance, resources, maybe helping with logistics, but letting the resident own the initiative.
Like that chess tournament example you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. If a resident wants to organize a chess tournament, the CF helps them promote it, finds a suitable space in the common areas, maybe helps source some boards, and ensures it runs smoothly, but the resident is the champion.
Got it. Any other practical tips for events?
Yeah, a few good ones.
Yeah.
Informally survey residents during meals or casual chats for ideas. Find out what people actually want to do. Maintain a simple, visible event calendar. A physical whiteboard in a common area is often incredibly effective and low-tech.
Keep it simple.
Intentionally invite external communities sometimes to create that extended community feel we'll talk more about. Encourage residents to share their unique skills through workshops. Could be anything from cooking to photography to language exchange. And always follow up after events for constructive feedback to make the next one even better.
That concept of the extended community sounds really important for a co-living space's long-term vibrancy. What exactly does that entail?
It includes non-resident members, think locals from the neighborhood, former residents who still feel connected, friends of current residents who get involved through events, and maybe just a regular presence if the space allows.
So breaking down the walls a bit.
Exactly. The guide argues that not opening certain events or spaces to the wider public is often a huge missed opportunity for added value, diversity, and new connections for everyone.
How can CFs intentionally develop these external connections?
Several ways. They can host public events like game nights, happy hours, or potlucks that explicitly welcome locals. They could organize local volunteer opportunities that bring co-livers out into the broader community, working alongside neighbors, or facilitate outdoor activities like hiking trips or picnics that can easily include non-residents.
Using shared interests as a bridge.
Yes. And even public common spaces within the co-living facility itself, like maybe a ground floor cafe or a co-working area that's open to non-residents, can organically foster interaction and connection with the broader neighborhood. It turns the co-living space into more of a community hub, not just an isolated bubble.
That feels much more integrated and sustainable.
So what does all of this mean for you, the listener? Understanding the community facilitators' day-to-day operational tactics, their deep involvement across all stages of the resident journey, and their strategic approach to community building allows you to better assess and contribute to a co-living community.
Whether you're looking to join one.
Or maybe even aspiring to become a facilitator yourself. Knowing these intricacies empowers you to make informed choices and perhaps even make a significant positive impact within your chosen community. It gives you the inside track.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift our focus a bit now to the business side of co-living.
Yeah.
It's not just about community vibes. It has to work financially, too.
Right, the practical realities.
And we can start with a raw, authentic story from Johnny, the author of our source material. He's not just a theorist writing about this. He's also a deeply experienced co-living operator himself, with successes and setbacks.
Oh, that's valuable perspective. Where did it start for him?
It all began for him with an eye-opening personal co-living experience as a resident in Bucharest, Romania. That stay truly sparked his passion for the whole concept.
So he lived it first.
Yes. Inspired by that experience, he launched his very first venture in Cluj-Napoca, another city in Romania. He describes it as a small, kind of minimum viable product co-living space.
Testing the concept.
Exactly. He successfully ran it for 2.5 years, using that time to experiment, iterate, learn every single aspect of the business hands-on. But ultimately, despite its success, he made the personal decision to close it down.
Why close a successful space?
He felt a strong personal itch to change his environment, to move on. It highlights a crucial point for operators. Sometimes, a deep physical presence and a personal connection to the place are essential for them. The business viability wasn't the issue. It was a personal need for growth and exploration.
Interesting. So what came next?
After Cluj, he embraced the digital nomad lifestyle wholeheartedly. He spent 3 years slow traveling across various countries, constantly researching the co-living market, visiting countless locations, building a vast network of connections for whatever his next venture might be.
So deep market research phase.
Meticulous preparation. Then, a significant, unexpected shift occurred with the widespread emergence of advanced AI tools like ChatGPT. This created a sense of internal urgency for him.
How did AI impact his thinking about co-living?
It prompted him to pivot his focus quite dramatically from content creation, which he was also doing, towards investing in physical experiences like co-living. He perceived that AI would disrupt the digital content market in a massive way. While the disruption didn't quite play out exactly as he initially expected.
Yeah, the impact is still unfolding.
Right. But it nonetheless spurred him into decisive action to build something tangible.
Okay, so this intense preparation and market analysis led to his second venture.
Yes. In Sibiu, Romania, a much larger space this time, 14 bedrooms. They apparently hopped on the opportunity quickly, perhaps a little too quickly, signing a contract and paying a deposit on a promising property.
Ambitious project. How did it go?
This space, unfortunately, lasted only 9 months.
Oh, wow, that's short.
Yeah. While financially challenging, Johnny views this period as providing tons of learning lessons, which he's committed to transparently passing on to others in the industry. He really framed it as a school of doing.
What were the key learnings from that Sibiu setback? They must be crucial for anyone in this space.
Absolutely crucial. First, he realized that traditional rental contracts with property owners were often unsustainable in the long run for a co-living model. A better partnership mindset was desperately needed, one where success wasn't gained at the expense of the other party, but through genuine mutual benefit and risk sharing.
Rethinking the landlord relationship.
Exactly. Second, there was the stark, undeniable reality of the business viability challenge. High operating costs and notoriously thin profit margins are a common reality for many hospitality businesses, especially in their early months.
The cash flow crunch.
Right. And this financial reality is often overshadowed by the enthusiastic focus on community building, but it's absolutely critical for long-term sustainability. You can't build community if the lights go out.
True. Any other major lessons?
Yes, a huge overarching realization for him was the indispensable power of teamwork. He learned firsthand that one person simply cannot excel at everything. The distinct skill sets required for an operator to think strategic planning, financial management, property oversight are fundamentally different from those of a community facilitator: empathy, conflict resolution, event facilitation.
Operator versus facilitator skills again.
The necessity of leveraging individual strengths through collaboration, building a cohesive team where people play to their strengths, became crystal clear. He truly describes it as the school of doing, believing that direct, sometimes painful experience is ultimately the best teacher.
Learn by doing, even if it hurts.
And he urges continuous self-reflection to maximize that learning, to honestly identify what you're genuinely good at, and perhaps more importantly, what you're not good at, so you can build a team around your weaknesses.
That self-awareness piece again. So the key takeaway here is profound, isn't it?
It really is. Understanding these business realities and challenges from an operator's personal perspective underscores precisely why that community facilitator role is so incredibly vital for the long-term stability and success of any co-living space.
It's not just a nice to have.
Not at all. These insights help you, whether you're a prospective co-liver trying to gauge the health of a space or an operator yourself, to identify ventures that are truly robust, thoughtfully managed, and built for sustainability, not just short-term hype or pretty Instagram pictures.
Really valuable context. Hashtag B. Strategic approaches for a thriving co-living business. Okay, moving now into strategic approaches for making a co-living business actually thrive. One interesting concept mentioned is viewing co-living itself as a kind of filter. How does that work?
Well, from an operator's perspective, this means prioritizing their own mental health and sustainability by deliberately attracting a self-filtered clientele.
Self-filtered, meaning?
Meaning people who are already predisposed to and actively seeking this kind of lifestyle. By doing this, operators can avoid the immense burnout that comes from dealing with a constant revolving door of people who maybe aren't a good fit, who don't understand the concept, or who have misaligned expectations.
So, attracting the right people from the start. Who are these self-filtered co-livers typically?
They're often in a specific life stage. Maybe they're location-independent professionals, perpetual travelers, people undergoing a life transition. They're typically financially capable of affording it, they have the time and flexibility, and crucially, they possess a mindset inherently conducive to communal living. They value connection, collaboration, shared spaces. They are actively and intentionally seeking out the co-living experience because it aligns with their values.
And platforms like Airbnb can play a role here. Seems counterintuitive, maybe.
It can be a smart move, actually. Leveraging mainstream platforms like Airbnb can lower the barrier to entry. It allows potential co-livers to maybe test the waters with a short stay, a week, a month, before committing to a longer term.
Like a trial period.
Exactly. This introduces what the guide calls a semi-controlled randomness that can diversify the community, bring in fresh perspectives without sacrificing its core integrity or overwhelming the space with purely transient guests.
Speaking of randomness, the guide suggests it can actually be a powerful equalizer in co-living dynamics. How so?
Think of it like randomness in a board game. It often balances the game, right? Gives newcomers a chance to win or integrate smoothly, even against experienced players.
Yeah, levels the playing field.
In co-living, accepting residents from varied sources, maybe some from Airbnb, some from dedicated co-living platforms like coliving.com or mattmelon.com, others from direct website bookings, creates a more dynamic and truly diverse community.
Avoids becoming an echo chamber.
Precisely. This exposes co-livers to a wider range of new perspectives, cultures, experiences. And this flexibility also makes it significantly easier for new co-livers to integrate and feel part of the community, especially for those who might be hesitant about committing to a long-term stay sight unseen. It prevents the community from becoming too insular or stagnant.
That makes sense. Now, what's absolutely critical for both community vibrancy and business health?
Occupancy rate, hands down.
Occupancy, occupancy, occupancy.
Yeah. It's paramount. A consistently high occupancy rate is necessary for that intangible sensation of community to genuinely exist. An empty or even half-empty co-living space simply doesn't have the critical mass, the energy to foster a thriving community.
Yeah, it feels dead.
Exactly. And fluctuating occupancy leads to a dissolved community feel, requires immense extra effort from the CF to constantly revive the vibe, and carries a high risk of dissatisfied co-livers who simply don't get the vibrant experience they were promised, especially during low seasons. It's a cascading problem that impacts morale and reviews.
So how do operators mitigate this volatility?
Strategic approaches are key. These include smart pricing adjustments, for instance, offering significant monthly discounts to incentivize longer stays over shorter ones, highly targeted marketing to specific demographics or during specific seasons, and establishing reasonable minimum stay lengths, maybe 1 month minimum, for instance, to ensure some level of stability.
Finding the right balance.
Yeah. Spaces that primarily target only very short-term co-livers, like nightly or weekly, often face higher operating costs, more cleaning, more admin, more wear and tear, and are far more susceptible to seasonal variability and dips in demand. The guide states clearly, the best co-living spaces consist of more than just short-term residents.
Aim for a mix.
Striving for a healthy mix of short, medium, and long-term stays seems crucial for both financial sustainability and for cultivating a richer, more deeply connected community over time.
Okay. There's also the clever strategy mentioned of passive upselling and lowering commitment barriers. How does that work in practice? How do you turn a casual visitor into a long-term resident?
Well-managed spaces can often convert short-term visitors into long-term co-livers, simply by exposing them to the vibrant community that already exists. If the vibe is great, the space is well-run, the people are connecting, the experience sells itself.
The product does the talking.
Exactly. Automated booking systems are incredibly powerful here, too. They can streamline the process for extending stays, reducing administrative overhead for the operator, and improving the co-liver experience by effortlessly showing availability and maybe dynamic pricing changes for longer commitments.
Making it easy to stay longer.
And the approach of using platforms like Airbnb for initial bookings, letting someone experience the place for a short period first, then offering direct contracts with better rates for longer stays after they've lived there and built trust. That significantly reduces the perceived risk for the resident. It makes the leap to a longer commitment much easier and feel less like a blind gamble.
Building trust through experience, that makes a lot of sense. This brings us full circle maybe to Johnny's powerful story about knowing when to say no, a crucial boundary for anyone in this space, operator or CF.
Yes, that experience was formative for him. He once took on a community facilitator role at a much larger co-living space that was, in reality, primarily a hotel trying to brand itself as co-living.
The co-washing example again.
Precisely. The disconnect was stark and immediate for her. Shared spaces, he said, felt like active obstacles that actually discouraged genuine interaction rather than being silent facilitators that encouraged it. They weren't designed for lingering or spontaneous connection.
Interesting phrasing.
He realized the core focus of the business wasn't on cultivating authentic, deep human connection, but rather on hype and content for the online world. Looking good on Instagram, getting buzzed.
Style over substance.
Yeah. Despite his efforts to organize resident-focused events and build actual community, he was consistently asked by management to prioritize tasks that were essentially 80% receptionist duties and only maybe 20% true CF work.
Yeah.
The priorities just weren't aligned with genuine community building.
So he had to make a tough call.
He did. This challenging experience firmly cemented his belief in the absolute necessity of aligning his personal values with a co-living space's true vision and operational reality. It powerfully demonstrated the importance of saying no to opportunities that don't fit, even if they seem good on paper, to prevent burnout and maintain the integrity of the community facilitator role. So he recognized it might be a great hotel, a well-run business even.
But it was not a true co-living space for him, nor was it fostering the kind of deep community he was passionate about building. Knowing the difference and acting on it was key.
So why is this crucial for you, the listener?
Well, for aspiring co-living operators, these insights are pure gold for building a truly sustainable and ethical business, one that avoids these common pitfalls and stays true to the core values.
And for prospective co-livers?
They are an invaluable guide to identifying spaces that genuinely prioritize authentic community and operate with a healthy, transparent business model. It's about being able to discern authentic value beyond the slick marketing facade or the trendy branding.
Looking under the hood, essentially.
Exactly. #she's the future-proof nature of co-living.
Now, let's look ahead to the future. What's truly fascinating, and maybe a bit counterintuitive, is how the impact of AI and advanced technology actually seems to be fueling the rise and importance of the community facilitator role.
How so? You might think automation would replace human roles?
Well, as AI and automation continue to reshape traditional job markets, automating many routine tasks, The demand for inherently human-centric roles like the community facilitator is predicted to only grow
Why?
because these roles are absolutely crucial for helping people adapt to rapidly changing work and living models. They foster that sense of community and belonging in an increasingly digital and potentially isolating world. AI can't replicate genuine empathy or facilitate nuanced human connection.
That makes perfect sense. Despite all the technological advancements and the convenience of digital connections, real in-person human interaction and deep connection remain profoundly vital for our well-being, don't they?
Absolutely fundamental. Co-living offers a prime, intentional opportunity to fulfill this innate human desire for belonging, that deep need for a tribe.
And the interesting paradox is that technology isn't necessarily a threat here. It can actually be an enabler.
You
It can
say?
enhance the co-living experience, think smart home features, efficient communication platforms, streamlined booking systems, and critically, it can relieve community facilitators of many mundane logistical burdens.
Freeing them up.
Exactly, freeing them up to focus even more intensely on the invaluable human connection aspect of their role, which is where the real magic happens.
This brings us to a really compelling concept discussed in the guide: passive social abundance, and the related idea of the extended community.
Passive social abundance sounds intriguing, like passive income but for friends.
Kind of. Think of it as the organic, almost effortless flow of relationships and opportunities that naturally arise in environments specifically designed for connection, like a well-run co-living space.
How is it passive?
It requires relatively little active effort from the individual co-liver because the environment itself is doing the heavy lifting. Simply spending time in common areas, cooking alongside others, joining spontaneous conversations. These naturally lead to connections because the space fosters authentic interaction.
And the co-living space acts as a filter we discussed.
Yes, it acts as that powerful filter, attracting people with a generally compatible mindset, which inherently makes it easier to connect and build meaningful relationships quickly. The groundwork is laid by the environment and the curation.
And community facilitators can intentionally expand this concept by developing that extended community we touched on earlier, the one that reaches beyond the immediate residents.
Absolutely. This means actively hosting open social events, inviting locals to game nights, happy hours, potlucks. It means organizing local volunteer opportunities that bring co-livers into direct engagement with the broader neighborhood, working shoulder to shoulder on shared projects.
Building bridges.
Or facilitating outdoor activities like hiking trips or beach cleanups that can easily include non-residents. Even integrating public common spaces like a cafe or a co-working area within the co-living facility itself can organically foster interaction and connection with the broader neighborhood, turning the building into a true community hub, not just a private residence.
That outward-facing aspect seems increasingly important. A community facilitator with an abundance mindset is also mentioned as key here. What does that mean versus a scarcity mindset?
Yeah, it's a crucial distinction. A scarcity mindset operates from fear hoarding resources, isolating oneself, seeing everything as a zero-sum game. An abundance mindset, by contrast, operates from trust and generosity, believing there's enough for everyone. Enough connection, enough opportunity, enough joy.
How does that play out for a CF?
A CF, operating from an abundance mindset, fosters trust by being open and transparent. They share resources, connections, and opportunities freely. They celebrate others' successes. This creates a powerful ripple effect of generosity and collaboration throughout the community, transforming a collection of individuals into a thriving, supportive collective where people genuinely look out for each other.
That mindset shift feels foundational. Now, when we talk about co-living as potentially being a third place, that vital social environment after home first place and work second place, the guide says it's an ideal blueprint, but it needs certain ingredients to truly thrive.
Yes, 10 essential ingredients are listed. Let's go through them. First, it must be neutral ground, no obligation be there, comfortable, open to all who fit the community.
Okay.
Second, it needs to be leveling a place where social status becomes irrelevant, mitigating class associations, and genuinely encouraging social engagement across all walks of life.
Everyone's equal inside.
Third, it's inherently conversational. Its main activity is interaction, with designated zones that encourage natural chit-chat and deeper discussions. Fourth, it must be accessible, easy to get to, not just for residents, but ideally familiar to locals to foster that extended community.
Location matters.
Fifth, it needs to be genuinely accommodating, effectively meeting the diverse needs of its residents, being responsive.
Makes sense. What are the other 5?
Sixth, a great third place should feel familiar,
a place where residents actively contribute to the vibe and build collective trust over time. Seventh, it should ideally be low-profile, homely, unassuming, without excessive pretense, which tends to foster more authentic behavior.
Not trying too hard.
Exactly. Eighth, it needs to be playful, injecting a witty, joyful, and instinctive mood, rather than relying solely on forced fun or overly structured activities. Ninth, it must truly feel like a home away from home, creating that profound feeling of belonging and warmth that is distinct from one's private residence.
That feeling of belonging.
And 10th, critically, it should be diverse, welcoming, unlikely members, and finding common factors beyond just shared interests, like maybe the ambience, the location, shared values, ensuring a rich tapestry of perspectives and experiences. These 10 elements combine to create a truly magnetic and supportive environment.
Wow, that's a fantastic blueprint for any community builder, really. And finally, for leadership within co-living spaces, the guide emphasizes prioritizing resident retention. Why is that so critical from a business perspective?
It's a foundational business principle, really, applicable beyond just co-living. Retaining existing customers, or in this case co-livers, is significantly more cost-effective and sustainable than constantly having to acquire new ones.
Cheaper to keep them.
Much cheaper. The acquisition cost is high, and the community facilitator is truly the main catalyst for extending stays. They do this by consistently creating that positive, engaging environment that actively encourages long-term residents and deep community engagement.
The CF drives retention.
Directly. And tracking this success through genuine testimonials, whether that's heartfelt Google Maps reviews, detailed feedback forms, or maybe in-depth video interviews with happy long-term residents, not only builds incredible credibility for this space, but also significantly reduces future marketing and acquisition costs. Becomes a virtuous cycle driven by positive experience.
The community becomes its own best marketing.
Ultimately, yes. The ultimate truth, as the guide concludes, is that co-living is fundamentally a business of people. Its long-term success hinges not on flashy amenities alone or slick marketing campaigns, but on fostering a genuine community-first culture.
Community first.
A culture where co-livers feel deeply supported, genuinely empowered, and truly part of something much bigger than just their individual room rental. This profound focus on human connection, belonging, and shared experience is what makes co-living an inherently resilient and truly future-proof industry, especially in a world that often feels increasingly disconnected.
That's a powerful concluding thought on the nature of this movement.
So we've really journeyed through the intricate world of co-living today, haven't we? Uncovering its surprisingly diverse forms, delving deep into the crucial role of authentic community, and truly appreciating the indispensable power of the community facilitator.
Yeah, from understanding what defines a true co-living space, differentiating it from just shared housing,
To exploring the vital importance of self-care for these community heroes, the CFs.
and even digging into these strategic business insights that make these ventures actually sustainable in the long run.
It's become clear, I think, that co-living is far more than just a passing trend. It feels more like a profound, evolving response to a fundamental, perhaps timeless, human need for connection and belonging.
I agree. We've learned that, like intricate balloon art, as the source poetically puts it, communities are often beautifully ephemeral. They come and go, shift, and change shape.
That's a great image.
In a world increasingly defined by fleeting digital connections and often isolated living arrangements, here's something for you, our listeners, to perhaps ponder. If existence itself is fleeting and building communities is indeed an art form, how might actively investing your precious time and energy into cultivating a meaningful third place? Whether that's a co-living space, a local club, a volunteer group, or another intentional community, be your most profound and potentially future-proof strategy. A strategy for personal fulfillment, for deep belonging, and for leaving a lasting, meaningful mark on the lives immediately around you.
It's a powerful question. What small, authentic step could you take, maybe even today, to engage with or begin to build such a masterpiece of human connection in your own life?
Food for thought. If today's deep dive sparked your curiosity about co-living and the power of intentional communities, you can continue the journey and connect with like-minded individuals online. A good place to start is the online co-living community over at reddit.com/HarcyCoLiving. You can explore further resources there and engage in ongoing discussions.
Great resource. We hope you found this deep dive incredibly insightful and perhaps even inspiring.
Thanks for joining us.